Okay, welcome everybody to the weekly kvCORE strategy success webinar strategy session. Stumbling a little bit here. Can somebody please let me know that you can see my screen? You should see the success webinars Google Doc up there, and that you have the audio okay. That would be helpful. Annalisa, are you here? And Artie, are you guys on?
Yeah, you sound and look good from here, sir.
Okay,
Yep,
cool.
I'm here.
Cool. So what we were hoping to do today is look over some kvCORE tracking tactics. So we've done in these series of success webinars a lot of webinars about Facebook ads, Google, all this different stuff you do to get people coming to your website. We have courses in the learning portal at learn.insiderealestate.com. You can access it from the dashboard on the left side about some of these topics. But one of the things we never talk about, and it's something we should probably start at, when we talk about marketing and funnels and traffic, is actually with tracking the results. The reason being is that, if you don't track your results, you won't know what's actually working, and you won't be able to scale what is working, and more importantly, turn off the stuff that's losing you money. So what we want to do today was talk a little bit about business analytics, which is sort of kvCORE's built-in tracking system. It's a really powerful feature, how you can use it, how it works. And also we'll get into how to use Google Analytics, which is why we have Artie on. Artie's director of digital market advertising here at Inside. She works with Google Analytics a lot and can give us some insights there and make sure I don't say the wrong thing. And then we'll explore maybe some other hacks and tricks and tactics and maybe get some feedback from you guys and see what you're doing to track as well. Sound good, guys? Sounds like it does. All right. Annalisa, you still hear me?
Woohoo! Yeah, let's go. Woo, 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 woo. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
I was just taking a drink of water. That's why I paused.
No, it's good stuff. I think it's going to be amazing because this is a really interesting thing for people to learn that want to get a little more hands-on with their tracking, what's working, what isn't, or maybe even learn about it to jump in. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and it's really foreign for us real estate agents. We're not professional performance marketers, would be the term. And a lot of us jump around between different sources of business and don't really know where the deals are coming from. So one of the things kvCORE and Inside Real Estate is very focused on is building some of this in to the platform, and that is what you have with business analytics. So I'm going to start there, and Annalisa, you just chime in, if I missed something, but I'm going to start by going to business analytics on the left side of the dashboard. And the first thing I'll mention is that you're going to see, I may be seeing some different stuff here because I'm logged in as a company admin versus what you see as an agent. So don't worry about that too much. I'm just going to kind of give a tour here. The first screen we see is the pipeline, right? So this is, if I'm here, I can see the whole company, and I can see just single agent. I can see myself. And you can also drill into individual offices if you're managing multiple offices right here. So we have kind of all of our demo accounts right here. This gives you, as an admin or a team leader, if you have one of our team add-on accounts, this gives you a really quick look at how everybody's doing. And I think this is really useful, especially if you're coaching and training. You can just come in here if you're face-to-face with somebody on your team. You go, okay, what do you got going on? And you can see very quickly, here's how many you have in Sphere, here's how many you have, pending, how many new leads, and so on. So that's kind of like your business pipeline breakdown right here, and it mirrors the different stages in the pipeline in the Smart CRM. The next part, and this is probably for me, for those of us who drive traffic and are dealing with Google AdWords and Facebook and all different traffic sources, is probably the most exciting. Is this is the source performance tab, which is loading up. And what this allows us to do is allows us to drill down and get really granular on what individual sources are doing and where the leads for those sources are ending up in the pipeline. So if I scroll down here, I can see circle picks. These are just tests we're running, but I can see how many of my Facebook ads, for example, are landing in new lead, what percentage are going to contract, and so on. And this, I believe, Annalisa, ties back to revenue too, to close GCI somewhere.
It should, yes.
Yeah, so maybe there's a different view I need to look at. But basically, I have the company, I have the agents again, I can sort that way, and I can do this by source. So if I wanted to get rid of all these other sources, and only see my Facebook ads, I could do that. I can also do it by hashtag. So if I'm setting hashtags as I run my ads, I can do that. And I can also mix and match source and hashtag. So if you're doing Facebook ads and you're using that as your source as you create your squeeze links, you can then have different reporting based on the different hashtags within that source. This, to my knowledge, is something that I don't know that any other real estate systems have this. I might be wrong, but I think that this is a key differentiator and something to be really excited about when it comes to the fact that you have access to kvCORE. Because if you're spending any kind of real money, you're spending thousands a month, maybe you're spending 5 or 6 figures a month. I know some of our users are. You can make some really intelligent decisions based on what this data tells you. If you know that the Facebook ads are generating cheap leads in the $3 to $5 each range, but you're only, they're only converting at a certain percentage to gross commission income, while you're paying 3 times the cost per lead on Google, but more of those are converting. That allows you to adjust your budgets on the fly and, get high leverage out of those decisions. Okay, so what I'm doing here, so I'm just kind of walking through each of these tabs and talking about them. I think we got that, right, Annalisa, what the source performance tab does? Did I miss anything?
I do not believe so.
Okay, so, and then you can add multiple sources, and that's why a lot of the data went away, because I deleted, some of those, so it didn't have the options there. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to kvCORE activity. And just a pro tip before I forget, maybe we'll put this on doc. I think a good tactic would be to set a recurring appointment with yourself, depending on how critical this is to your business, but maybe set a recurring appointment every once a week or once a month to sit with the key players on your team, even if it's just you or your partners or whoever, and actually sit there and look at these numbers and make decisions. So, block out a half hour to do that. So kvCORE activity, we can see at the company level, again, the agent level, how many people are on search alerts in the last 90 days, behavior alerts, smart campaigns. We can see how many phone calls are going on, text messages, emails, property views. And you can see here coming soon, it's exciting stuff. You'll be able to see how many calls are being answered, texts responded to, emails opened, and emails click through right here, as well as your unengaged leads. So I can see at a glance that, hey, we've got 592 on search alerts, but for whatever reason, we've got 155 leads without search alerts. That's a glaring problem to me. We need to go back and get these search alerts set up. So, and right there, if you get an admin to go set up search alerts for a few hours, you might be talking about, 5 figures in GCI right there, just because they weren't set up and getting the proper follow-up. So this gives you, the kvCORE gives you a top-down view of how your system's doing, some graphs right there. Let's see if there's any other drill downs I can do. I think that's it for these pages, but you can sort of see the engagement, how many emails are going out on a day by day. And if I were in a live account, this is our demo account, these numbers would be much higher, of course. Cool. Next part is the consumer interest. I recently did an update about this page. I can't remember what it was, but it was exciting. Yes, I remember now. Okay, so this kind of tells you what the consumers are doing on your site. So you can see what your top referral sources of traffic are, the top pages that leads are being captured on. In this case, I think this is really cool. I didn't realize they were doing this, but I've done a few webinars recently and a few demos of our text, of the smart number text code capture. So you see here in the last 30 days, there have been 14 registrations through that number. That's really cool to know. And then you can see the other capture pages that leads are coming in on right there, especially if you're doing, this could be useful if you're doing a bunch of different landing pages and you just want to know which ones are working really well. Next thing here, you can see the top 10 viewed properties in the last 30 days on your site. And I think this is really cool, the top 10 saved properties. And I think the video I did about a week or two ago was about how maybe you take these top properties that people are engaging with and assume that for whatever reason, maybe it's the price of the property or the price of the property or the pictures or whatever, for whatever reason, the consumers out there are drawn to these top listings on your site. It may make sense to go ahead and run ads for these. So here's business analytics informing you and telling you, oh, cool, this one's getting a lot of properties. Why don't I go do a property boost for this one? It stands to reason that I'll get more leads from spending my money on a property boost there than I would on a property that's not showing up in this list. Make sense, Annalisa?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm like typing and then unmuting, so my timing's a little off.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And then you got some stuff about the top zip codes, top neighborhoods, and so on down here. So that's a consumer interest. You know, definitely as part of your weekly review, go through each of these tabs and make decisions about that. Maybe there's a recurring appointment that's on that larger appointment about business analytics, and that says, hey, order a, advertise the top listing, or I mentioned doing a property boost. You could also say, hey, featured listing of the day, and post that to your social channels and post it to and send it out as a mass email. Joy's asking a great question. Are these analytics just for your website or the MLS too? These are showing you just the actual site on the kvCORE platform, the front end. And I think if I toggle between company up here and agents, the numbers will change. Yeah, they do. So you can drill down based on the individual agent sites, individual offices if you're running multi-office kvCORE instance, or the whole company right there. So some of you guys with multiple offices, you admins who are running, you might drill down and say, okay, this office is in this specific town. In this town, we're going to run and promote that listing, and then you can toggle and do it in your other markets. Cool. Next one, agent performance, agent accountability. Again, I don't know of any other systems that are doing this. Please let me know if you do know. I just like to know how cool we are, but you can see at a glance how your agents are doing with the system. Time since last login. I mean, if you have an agent coming to you and complaining or they're struggling, but they haven't logged in to the tool you're giving them in 3 weeks, there's some ammo there. If you see they haven't logged in for 2 or 3 months, that you get to go back to them and say, hey, I'm giving you this system to use. You're not logging in. That's part of the reason why you're struggling. And no, I'm not going to negotiate your commission split with you. You're not showing a level of commitment. Where on the other hand, you may see somebody who's in here every day doing all their calls. They're completing 100% of their calls assigned. They log in consistently. Those are the agents maybe you focus on and reward a little more. Maybe you weight them a little heavily for lead rotation and try to help feed them, so that you don't have this situation that a lot of people have with systems like kvCORE, where you give it to everybody at your office, but you only get maybe 30 or 40% who are using it actively, but you're still spending the same money on lead gen for 100% of them. This would allow you to sort of adjust where those dollars are going and give the leads and the attention to the agents that are doing the best. Right there. What's everybody think so far? That's a quick tour of business analytics. Just wanted to kind of take a few minutes, point that out, give you some tactics for how to use it. If you guys want to give some feedback, I'd love to hear whether or not you're already using business analytics heavily, or if it's something that you kind of just know is there but haven't paid attention to. I think that everything, the way I personally operate, I know Annalise, you too, like if you operate on a recurring task, a recurring schedule with yourself, things are more likely to get done. So if you don't do anything else today on this webinar or as you watch it, maybe just go into your Google Calendar or your task manager and just say, review business analytics once a month, right there.
Yeah, and it kind of takes like the habit, they say, like when you meet someone new, you're supposed to repeat their name like 8 times to yourself to try and help remember. It's the same thing when you're doing like this type of appointment. When you work it in and stay consistent, it's going to be like, oh, wait, it's Tuesday at 9, I'm going to do this. It's just going to fall regularly into your thought process. So it's just a matter of making it a habit.
Yep. One thing I kind of skipped across, Annalisa, was the source performance. It's kind of a topic for another webinar. I'm sure you'll put some links in the doc. But the source is set in your links when you build your squeeze links. I just wanted to mention that. So in the lead engine, I know some people watching this might be totally new to the system, so I just want to give this background detail.
Sure.
When I create an IDX squeeze page for myself here, and I believe, can we set sources at landing pages, or are those still just hashtag?
Not as of yet. I believe it's coming.
Okay. But as I build my pages, I can set my sources right here. So I might do Facebook ad, right? I might do postcard or newspaper, right? Still use print, newspaper. A lot of you guys might be still running ads on open house ads on the weekend. One tactic would be to put a custom domain under each listing, right? And make sure that that custom link has the source newspaper added into it. So
Well, and this really gives you the opportunity, like if you're going to be doing A/B testing, if you name that source, you'll be able to think, okay, this squeeze page resonated with people, but this one didn't. What was the difference? You know, or
Yep.
something of that nature. So it gives you that opportunity to really look at the fact instead of thinking, well, I don't think it worked. Well, now you can actually compare the data, which is pretty awesome.
That's a great point. I didn't think of
Yeah.
that, Annalise. You could run split testing on multiple landing pages
Yep.
just by switching the hashtags and sources. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And business analytics is going to tell you. The other thing you could do, wow, this is really crazy. You could set the property views allowed before registration and alter those, right? So my hashtag could be 3 views, whatever it is, three
Right.
views versus 4 views, and really see which is performing better that way if you want to go really
Yep.
nuts. Artie's
And
good.
Joy had a quick question. How do we make a custom property website on kvCORE and make it a custom page? So Joy, what I'm going to do is link you up within the webinar here because it's a separate topic over what we're speaking to, but we'll make sure we get the information on the sheet here.
Yeah. So a good question from Rick. Rick's asking, he's saying he's confused about the different uses of the short link versus the
Right.
direct link. There's no big difference. One of the reasons we have the short link here is so that when you build your text reply codes, it's shorter and doesn't take up as many characters. So it's just going to matter where you're advertising the link.
Yeah,
So
they both lead to the same place.
yep. So this leads to this, and so on. You know what I wish they'd allow us to do? Well, I won't complain, but I wish I could set this to be something custom. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. So
I mean, I know a guy. I can ask.
yeah. So why would we always use the short link? Rick's asking. Yeah, just use the short link. You're fine. All the short link's going to do is it's just going to redirect to the long link when I put it in the browser.
Right. It just saves character spaces if we're going to text something out, really, too.
One reason why you might want the long link, more advanced users, and Annalise has a great video about the anatomy of a link with us. You can actually you can change some of these things on the fly. So you see where it says PPC equals newspaper? That's actually our source parameter. You can actually alter that on the fly if you want. So it might be useful to be able to throw this into a notepad and use it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, like when I suggest when people create their landing pages to save them on a doc, so you can come back to it again and again if it's something you're going to be reusing. This would also be handy just to pop it onto a doc and just change out that one source code so you don't have to recreate the squeeze every time, too.
Yep. Yeah, you can also set the number of views before registration too. So
lots
say,
of things.
I'll test this against, you're running say you're in a Facebook ad set and you have 2 different ads. It's the exact same ad, but one of them you're sending to, it registers after 3 views. I would change that, and then I would change the source to indicate that it was 3 views, and then the other one might do 5 views, and then you could gauge the difference. What I'm talking about right now kind of falls into that diminishing returns, I think, for real estate in particular. So what I just said kind of only applies to people who are running traffic at a very high level, spending a lot of money. So don't get, don't think you have to do that. Yeah.
And separately after this, I'll do like a featured feature on like a little tutorial on what to look for within that and drop it into my anatomy for a link and also have a short little deal separately.
Cool. So that's business analytics. Make sure you use them. Let's go on to the next section. We figured it was appropriate here. That's sort of the built-in tracking with kvCORE. And I wanted to have Annalisa on, Artie on today, because Artie knows Google Analytics really well, and I really don't. But Google Analytics is the king out there when it comes to tracking. And what we're going to do now is just explain how to install Google Analytics. And Artie, you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Cool. So I figure what I would do is maybe I'll just go into Google Analytics, create an account. You'll tell me you'll point and tell me where to click, and then we'll go add our Google Analytics ID, and then maybe you can kind of color commentate and talk about some of the things we can do with goals and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Cool. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google Analytics. I think it's analytics.google.com, but I'll just Google it. Google Analytics. Yeah, analytics.google.com. So I'll go there. If you're logged into your Gmail account, then you should automatically be logged into Analytics, I think. If not, it's going to be the same login as what you used to log into Gmail. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a new site. So Artie, where do I go?
So go all the way down to admin.
Okay.
And so you can have it either in the same account and create it as a property, or you can create a whole new account. I would create it as a property, so in the middle column.
Okay.
And then enter all your info. And the nice thing about Google Analytics is they have like industries that you can select, and there's a real estate industry, which allows you to kind of get a further level of customization when it comes to setting up your goals, but we'll get there.
Cool. Okay, so website URL, industry category is going to be real estate. I am in the Eastern time zone. Here we go. Cool, and now I can click get tracking ID, right? Okay. Well, that part was easy. So I think all I need to do is go grab this ID and pop it into kvCORE now, right?
That's right.
So let me do that. So where we're going to go is we're going to go to Web and IDX. And guys, it's definitely, this is something, what I'm doing now, I think everybody should do it. Would you agree, Artie?
Definitely.
Yeah. Like, even if you're not going to use it for a while, just get it in there so it can start collecting the data for you.
Right, because there's no backlog in Google Analytics. So from 24 hours, once you install the tracking ID, that's when you start collecting real data. So the sooner you have it in, the better.
Cool. So I went to edit in my website settings, and I'm going to scroll down here. I just saw this a minute ago, and now I'm missing it. 1 second. Annalisa, did I go to the wrong page?
I think it's so you've got your custom header, which is the HTML header of the site where you put your Facebook tracking pixel. You've got the custom body, which is the body of your website, visible, and that's where you add your Google Tag Manager scripts.
Yeah, so it's actually right here.
And then you've got, there's different spots for sure.
Specific field for it. So if you click analytics on the left side, that's where it is. And 5 minutes before this webinar, that's actually what I did. For some reason, I forgot to do that this time. So the ID, I think we add with the UA.
Right.
Correct? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it didn't say it the first time. Okay, so now I have Google Analytics installed. And I don't need my site tag or anything because it's kind of automatically installed on the site. Now, what else am I going to be looking for, Artie? Should I?
So I would create goals as like kind of the first thing. So you can create conversion goals, and those you can customize based on a lot of different things. So to do that, you want to go back into admin.
Okay.
And then over on the right, there's goals. And then just create a new goal.
So Joy's asking, what's Google Analytics doing? It tracks everything that's going on your site, what pages people are visiting, right? Is that a good way to put it?
Right, and it has cross-channel capabilities too. So it can see, once we set up these goals, we can see, you know, who completed this goal just from coming in through Google, or who went to Facebook first and then went and converted on Google. So you can kind of see the whole journey, which is why I like using Google Analytics for this. So when you come to create a goal, you can see these templates are kind of customized to real estate agents. So if you want to build it out that way, I usually just create a custom goal down at the bottom there and do it based on the thank you page. Kind of keeps it simple. And then you just name it however you want. Anything that makes sense?
Ooh, I'm seeing something exciting here. Okay, one second. I'm gonna I'm gonna go on a tangent. All right, we'll do became a lead. I'm losing it here. All right. All
I
right.
get like
And then
that in Google Analytics too. It gets really exciting when you start seeing all the options and capability.
yeah, yeah. And then this one I would do best based on a page they land on, right?
Right.
And we're gonna hit on something that's unfortunate with kvCORE that you might not know about already, but there is actually no URL for a conversion.
Whoa.
I know it's very frustrating for me. I have a hack for this. So um, basically, what I do to make this happen, and I was just playing around, is I iframe in a. The developers are going to laugh at me when they see this. But I frame in my homepage with a parameter on it as the conversion code event. Now we'll
Mm.
Will Google Analytics will it track the goal based on the conversion pixel firing?
Yes.
Okay, so if if we actually install the Google uh, Pixel, there's a custom conversion box, this custom code. We can. Is there something from Google Analytics we could put here?
Um, so the way I understand it is that it fires, like the way we've set up that destination page goal is it would count the goal once that destination page has been reached.
Okay. So what I've
You
done,
can create a funnel for it to say like, okay, first they have to go to this page and then hit the destination page. So that could kind of like change your results a little bit.
yeah, I think kvCORE we need to get a little better about this. I need to talk to the developers. But for those of you guys who want to do destination URL tracking with with Google Analytics, frame in a page like this. Anybody doing that will understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to use this as my destination. I put it in the conversion code URL. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, just bear with us. And my destination begins with equals to, and I'll just do that for now.
Hmm.
There we go.
There
Okay.
it is. Now, one of the key things you want to do here is if you're running Google AdWords, you want to import this goal from analytics into Google AdWords. If you're not running Google Ads, then don't worry about it. But this will give you a clearer picture rather than creating the goal within Google AdWords.
Oh, good to know. So, Artie, we are. Uh, I have on my list to make the Google Analytics course, and you're going to help me. And
Okay.
we'll make sure we're going to make sure there's a video about that in there. But we won't go on a tangent now. So
Okay.
that's one goal. The other thing that I got really excited about here, we're going to do custom continue. Um, this duration to me seems really interesting. Right, stayed 30 minutes or more. Do you use this a lot, or is it? And are there practical reasons why you would or wouldn't?
Definitely. So I do have a couple of page duration and time spent on site goals. And what you can do with these, I use them to kind of juice the conversion rates in Google AdWords. So you can, when you're importing the goal, you can choose to not count it in conversions so that, I'm not saying, oh, I got a lead, even though all they did was spend 30 minutes on the site, because that's not correct. But you can just create these micro conversions that help your account work a little more healthily, because Google is seeing like, okay, we're not counting these as conversions, but they are converting in a sense.
Gotcha. And I think there's some relevance for real estate because if somebody, you can learn from this. If somebody actually spends 30 minutes on your site, they're a lot more serious than somebody who spends 5. If they're
Mm-hmm.
browsing and searching that long. And then the bigger picture is we want to be able to tie the fact that that goal is being hit back to the original traffic source, right?
Right.
So save. Cool. Any other goal types?
Those are really the only ones I've used. I've used, let's see, go back to it. Yeah, pages per session. So that's always kind of interesting if they're cruising around on your site a lot.
Yeah. So say somebody looks at 50 properties. Okay. So I'm in an account that I just created, but the big idea here is that once we've created some of this stuff, we can then go and see and segment out and see what channels, what traffic channels are creating the result, right?
Yeah, so you can go over on your left-hand bar there. There should be one of those things. Yeah, acquisition right there.
Okay.
And then I would go to all traffic and then channels. And this
Got
is just a really basic traffic overview report. So you have users and sessions and your bounce rate, pages per session. But over on the right, you can select which goal you have, or you can look at which goal you have, and there you are. You can select what you want to look at. So that's really helpful. Some of the pitfalls of this page is a lot of people forget to set their date range, which is up in the top right. I mean, we're
Gotcha.
not going to have any data yet, but tomorrow you might. And then the other pitfall is show rows down at the bottom right. It defaults to 10. And once you start getting a lot of data, you're going to need to expand that in order to get the clear picture.
Great. So Artie, this is exactly what I needed you for because I would have never found this stuff. So um, we have business analytics, which is kind of the built-in, out-of-the-box kvCORE. You know, you can see some basic stuff. If you're spending a lot of money and you're using lots of different sources for your leads, you're going to probably want more data, and that's why you're going to hop over here and do this Google Analytics thing. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Anything else?
Yes, let's talk about audiences. So instead of actually looking, because we don't have any audiences yet, go down to admin again.
Okay.
And this is a super, super powerful feature that is like the game changer of online advertising. Go into audience definitions in the middle column, it's towards the bottom,
Okay.
and then click audiences.
Uh-huh.
And so, okay, you got to enable remarketing. That's a pretty big like automatic one they just sort of create for you.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you'd want to add your destinations. You want to, so you want to link your Google Analytics account to your AdWords account for sure. And in this case, where it says audience destinations, once you have those linked, you can also publish this audience to Google AdWords. So you're giving AdWords like the ultimate clear picture of your audience members.
Gotcha. And I haven't linked that yet.
Right, but just so you know.
I think for purposes, you know, this always happens on these webinars. These are the broad strokes, tactical things you can do. I do think that the topic deserves further treatment in a full course with a series of short videos from me and Artie. Right, Artie? You know, we'll do like 3 to 5 minutes. So what you're talking about now, like how to link this to Google AdWords, that'll be a video. But the important thing today is just put this in the back of your head and know that this stuff that you either should be doing it or that it's possible, right? And then come back to it later when you're ready.
Definitely.
Cool. Cool. So if I click enable, will it let me? Great. So yeah, and then you can start to see stuff based on new users, returning, all users, and really segment things out. Is that right?
Right. So this is like the very basic first kind of audience you would create. Once you've created kind of your first audiences, you'll get this really robust tool to create audiences based on like users and sessions and what landing page they came on, combined with so much data. I use the very basic, like, okay, they were on this landing page, but you can build it out to be really complicated if you want to.
Yeah, and I could see, you know, say that people are looking in a specific zip code, looking at properties in a specific zip code, and that zip code showing up in the URL, or even specific MLSs, you could start to use these audiences to show them targeted ads down the road.
Right, and you can create bid adjustments. So say you have a greater conversion rate on a certain audience, then you can bid up and say, well, I want to spend more when my keywords show in front of these people because I know they're going to convert at a higher rate.
Gotcha. So what you just said, I understood it, but it's probably, there's about 1 to 5% of users who would ever.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I spend all day doing this, so I kind of lose touch with reality a little.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, basically what Artie just said is if you see an audience performing better, you might spend more or less on them based on what the analytics tell you. Joy's asking, is this for ads only? It is for ads, but it's also, I think, just interesting to see, right? A lot of people get frustrated, for example, that, oh, my leads aren't calling me back. But then you can go into Google Analytics and see that a lot of them are hanging out for 30 minutes and searching all day. It just tells you that they're just not ready to talk to you yet, but they're using your site. You were going to say something, Artie?
Nope.
Okay.
Just agreeing.
Okay. Cool. So that's sort of the basics of Google Analytics. Anything else that we should touch on?
The other really cool part is the conversion paths. So if you go, let's see, I think it's behavior over on the left there. Down, down, down. Oh no, conversions, the very bottom one.
Okay.
And then multi-channel funnels. And then top conversion paths. So it's not going to show us anything right now, but this is where you would go to see something that would say, okay, Google, and then it would have an arrow pointing to Facebook and then an arrow pointing to organic or something like that. So it would just show like all the touches that your website has had based on what channel they were. So say someone finds you through a paid ad and then gets touched again on Facebook and then they convert from an organic search of your website, then you would see that here. And this is really helpful to see kind of which paths most people are taking to conversion, and you can kind of decide where you want to put your efforts based on that.
Got it. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I have this theory that I've talked about here and there where in real estate, it may make sense to mix Google and Facebook, where you get the initial high intent click from Google, somebody searching Tampa, Florida homes for sale, but then you use Facebook to retarget those clicks with a video of you saying thank you, for example, for visiting my site. So this would sort of show you how that's working and if it's working, right? Because you'd see a line like came to Google, went to Facebook, became a lead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's a good 10,000-foot view of analytics, Artie. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so what else did we have here? Let's go back to our doc, make sure we're covering everything. Joy's asking, should she do the get the analytics and added? Yep, I would just do that now, just so that you start to build the data. You can start to see what people are doing on your site. Artie, is there a way to kind of tag individual users in analytics, or is that kind of hard to do?
I am not sure. What you can do is kind of create your own view. And so with that, you can add your own conversion goals if you have like different conversion goals than someone else. So it just basically creates like a carbon copy of the data, but then you can add your own filters like, okay, I want to filter out traffic from my IP address because that doesn't make any sense to track my own activity on this website.
Gotcha. Cool. So there's a lot of powerful stuff you can do. Question here, can I see audiences I created in Facebook, or is it totally different? You can see the audience names, right, Artie, but you can't see the people.
No, you cannot see the Facebook audiences in Google Analytics. A workaround would be with each ad set, use a different audience, and then send that through like a UTM tracking or however you want to do your tracking, send that into Google Analytics, and then you'd be able to see it that way.
Okay, I think you just answered that question right, and I didn't understand it at all. So how you translated that out of GoToWebinar to my brain to you was great, but I think that's what Natasha was looking for. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't see the Facebook audiences in the Google dashboard, but Facebook has audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. So that's Google Analytics. So we have our business analytics. We have Google Analytics that'll let you get more granular. I think our business analytics is just a great It's probably more actionable and going to give you the quicker way to make decisions. But the Google Analytics is going to come into play when you're spending a lot of money and you have a lot of different sources of leads coming in. It's going to let you get really geeky and do some fun things. So just a few other notes here. I showed you guys my trick the conversion URL. For those of you who are looking for a URL for goal tracking, I think that works, what I showed earlier. So I've had that question come through Facebook a few times from performance marketers, like how the heck do I track a goal? So that is how. And then third-party apps for tracking, I just wanted to mention clicky.com is what I use, and the reason why I don't know Google Analytics, it's probably silly of me, but Clicky will actually let you see some things about, I'm trying to find a site. They'll let you spy live on visitors. Already, so I don't think you can do that with Google yet, right?
You can see who's active and what pages they're active on, but you can't like heat map it.
Right. So there's some heat mapping stuff inside of Clicky that's really cool. There's goal creation campaigns. It just does some different stuff if you want to really geek out on this. It's not free like Google Analytics, so it's not for everybody, but it's just something I've used forever. So I like to mention it. I think it's a cool product. And then Hotjar, I think, is heat mapping, right, Artie? Hotjar.
Right.
Are there any other heat mapping? And we could talk briefly about what heat mapping is.
Hotjar is the one I've always used. There might be
Yeah.
more out there, but it's kind of the industry standard.
Yeah, so Hotjar, I mean, and it's probably more relevant to the developers of the platform. But if we're talking about tracking, it'll just kind of let you see what users are doing. And don't get mad at me. I think you're able to install the Hotjar script on your own site, but if you can't, don't get mad at me. It might be something that only our developers can do. But basically, you can see like where people are clicking. I think the most practical use of this would be if you're designing landing pages in kvCORE and you want to see where you're wondering why it's not converting or something like that. You can kind of see where people are clicking on the landing page. And I think that's it. I think this is a good, thank you, Artie. Thank you, Annalisa, for being here. Annalisa, as usual, has a lot of extra supplemental resources in the doc. Joy's asking us to share the doc again, which I'll do now, right here. And before we go, does anybody have any questions about this topic or anything else we have going on here with kvCORE and Inside Real Estate? I'll send you guys the doc here in the window.
And then I'll also be formatting this, and we'll be dropping the doc and the video out via the chat system, email to everyone in the discussion groups, and on, of course, Ryan just shared out. So we will make sure everyone gets access to this information.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I learned a few things, so I'm excited. Thank you for being on. Thank you, Artie.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. And we'll see you tomorrow, everybody, for the weekly add-ons webinar. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about team stuff tomorrow from a team leader's perspective. I don't have the exact topic.
Cool.
We'll talk about some team strategy stuff. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.